Hello, welcome back to Tofu Young's channel. Well, today I'm just gonna change out some of the suspension parts for another WL toy, 1/28 scale. I think it's 284010. Well, they need to come up with a name for all these models, all these small numbers. No one's gonna remember it. So last time I upgraded this one, did the whole carbon metal chassis and metal gears, and they're not so great. So I'm gonna do another review on that. But today I'm just gonna do an installation on this, since I feel like the steering angle is not that good for this car when I try to play it indoor. And I'm just gonna do a quick video on it. I mean, there are hundreds of videos on this, and technically you can go watch those. I shouldn't say that since I'm making a video of it, but I'm just doing my own thing. If you want to watch it, that's great. And people always tell you to subscribe and like the video for more content, but I feel like that's really up to you. I'm not gonna try to force anyone to do that. Just gonna remove this hot glue here. So for the other model, they didn't put hot glue on there, and I didn't have problem with it coming off. And it's actually easier if you remove it, since you have to work on it a lot of times and the lights are in the way. And gotta be careful with the tiny wirings when they do come off, and you have to find another way to solder them back or prep them. But here is the package that I got today. It's a whole set. I mean, I got those before for my other one in red, and they're okay. I mean, but for, I think this is $12. It's good enough. It looks good, and if you're not racing, just having fun, trying to understand how all the toe and camber works, then this is a good way to start. And for the amount of money you put into this car, is, I mean, technically you can buy a Kyoto one, a used one, maybe for $120, $130, and I believe they're a lot better out of the box, and just if you want to have fun and not have to deal with all this nonsense. But if you want to learn about how car works and all the camber and toe suspension, it's pretty fun to do that. I've done this many times now, since the parts didn't really work before, so this is not like a step-by-step video, just me rambling. So take this off. I know this is one of those really boring videos that goes for like hours, but I think if I tag each part or label each section, it might be easier to go through instead of skipping. But I don't think anyone's watching the whole video anyway. Just me, myself, and I talking about this. So just removing little pieces. So for the other one, I have metal diff casing, and that wasn't good. I had to file it down on the inside. It was catching, rubbing. So don't get that. And for a lot of these parts, you can just remove them. I mean, this video I think is for myself to see how quickly I can remove all this. I mean, even though my videos are already long, but behind the scene I already took this many times. Took this off many times for the other one. I would say at least 4 or 5 hours worth of installing and removing and trying to make it work. I don't know why my camera keeps stopping and recording, but that's fine. And I'm not sure if you guys can hear my 3D printer in the background. I'm printing some other parts. But if you're planning on getting metal gearboxes or metal parts in general, I don't really think they're that great. So, but suspension wise, looks okay. Even for my other one, one of the shop mount, they just stripped. But I think that's because they're too much grip. So the whole assembly is here. Just probably want to take all this off. Technically, you don't use any of this, so don't have to be too careful when you're snapping them off, and they don't break that easily. And you do have to take some of those bearings off. Yeah, I mean if you're really careful, try not to crush the bearings. But they do come off pretty easily, so easy job. So that's one set. Yeah, the last time, I mean the first time when I did this, I think it took me at least an hour, thinking that I need to use all those ball attachments, like all this tip. You don't have to use any of it if you get the whole kit. You just screw them in. Yeah, you have longer ones, shorter ones. All this, you don't need it. The long ones are for the front, and you need to get some arms, swing arms, I believe. They come with hardware, couple pieces. Alright, that's done. So the top and bottom, they're the same, but sometimes after you screw it in, they will get pushed out a little bit and it's really rough. I mean, even right now, when I try to turn it, it's a little gritty, but as long as they don't rub when you mount them, they're okay. So here you go. So just do this. So you can always refer back to what it looks like. And then this is for the servo. Yeah, you can always refer back. It's kind of just a puzzle. You mash them and then you screw them in. This one has to be the shorter one, because if you use the longer one, they will rub on the bearing. And there's no other easy way to do this. I mean, it's the hardest part when you have tiny parts. So tighten this, and then now one end. And then this end you just put in the suspension. And then the top, you can put some of the tie rods. Servo horn, they also come with a metal one, aluminum. I believe last time when I used the stock servo without a servo saver, it stripped the gear. But then I got an aftermarket one and it was fine after that. Yeah, so this one in the front, same thing. So this end, the ball joint end, goes to the chassis. But this one is for the rear. The rear, you don't need those yet. And then so just for reference, side by side, you can see them. No guesswork here. You just look at one, put the other one in, quite easy. Just hope that you didn't mess up the other one, or else you will have two messed up, two hard down ones. So I think this one it goes in, but first put in some bearings, at least the one inside, and then just kind of push it in, pins in. The axle or the CVD, you don't have to deal with that for now. And then you just put, I would use the stock one because I remember the one that is fully threaded, they weren't that good, it was kind of catching. But I guess you can't use it, not long enough. So you do have to use the hardware. Alright, the bearing's coming off, sorry. Me boring, talking, no one's watching. Like, I could have used an electric screwdriver, but these parts are not the greatest, so you can easily strip them. Even just with electric, I think the speed itself. So you don't have to tighten it all the way because it's threaded, the whole screw. So some, just enough, because they're not going to back out anyway. They're quite tight, just almost all the way in. With a little bit, maybe 1/8 of an inch or 1/16 or a couple millimeter. And next we'll have the camber adjustment right here. We can mount the camber one on top first. Just quickly, let's see, does the original screw works? Because this is technically the same thing. Alright, perfect. It worked, because the other one I had to use a different screw, and it was actually longer and blocking all the other ones. So when I was changing the diff, I had to take the screws on the top out first. So just extra steps. So if you can use the stock one, that would be the best. I mean, we can do the other side too, since we're at it. Oh, see, you can, I don't know if you can tell from the camera, but this screw is actually bent. But let's see if I can get it in. A little bent. Okay, got it. Well, today is the Saturday. Pretty nice out. But I'm indoor working on this car. So, and I don't have anything else going on, at least for now. I have other parts coming in. My sink is cracked. Still waiting for them to ship out the new one. Oops. Got a couple new subscribers, but I don't know if people are actually watching this. It's good. Hopefully this video helps someone, or they just like hearing me talking random stuff. Because even for myself, sometimes when I'm doing something around the house, I like to have videos playing in the background. Just something that you don't have to watch and just listen. Even like a how-to video, you can kind of hear them talking about the steps, and you just take a glimpse of it and you have an idea. But that's just me. I feel like people will listen to something more useful, or something that you don't have to think too much about. So that's the front. You can put the arms in, but those are later. Next is the steering arms. The long ones are at the bottom. Kind of don't remember, but first we have to take out this steering horn. Trying to do it. If I can preserve this. Ow. I recently replaced my carpet with hardwood floor, so now whenever I drop things, I can hear it pretty easily. And actually works quite well for this mini RC. That's another reason why I bought a bunch of those mini 120 scale, now that I can kind of play in my room, set up a little course. And it's pretty fun when you can use it at home. So it's all about how many times you can use it for the amount of money you pay for. So for under $100, you can play it every night, maybe for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. That's pretty good. So for this one, you gotta make sure it's under the drive shaft, or else it's gonna catch. There might be some easier ways to do this, but this is how I do it. So you gotta make sure it's under the drive shaft on both sides. And this is a little bit, yeah. Alright, I guess I'll just put in the bearings and drive shaft, CVD for now, just to make things a little easier to install. Make sure it's flat. Install the CVD stock. Actually have the one-way and lock diff in the back. I bought them also, and I believe someone made a review about them. I bought them from AliExpress for $24, so it's not very cheap, but I think they're exactly the same as the Kyuso one, just rebranded. Maybe it came from the same factory. They look exactly the same, but you're not paying Kyuso price. Come with some shims along the CVD for the back. and I think it's a pretty good deal for 20 something. And I'll try to make this a drift car try, since the other one that I have is kind of for racing, for my homemade RCP track. Yeah, for some reason that car, the green one, it's not really a all-wheel drive anymore. Maybe because of the ball diff that I set it in a way that the front has more resistance than the back. So it's very interesting, and I like the way it drives. And don't want to touch that. I actually bought a brushless motor and ESC for it, and the connector came also today, so but I'm waiting for the pinion gear. I'll do another video on installing that brushless. I think Beaver RC had a video on that, and I think he was using like Hobby Wing ones, something nicer. But for me, I'm not spending that much money on this kind of cars. I mean, if I'm spending like $40–50 on a brushless set, then might as well get Kiyoso, the Mini Z. Yeah, because this one, the brushless set, I think I paid $15, including ESC, and then I just have to buy a little different connector to make it work, since these are very small. I forgot it's a JR or a 3-pin one. I have to look it up. But so far it's pretty good. So this one you have to use the longer screws on this end, because you have to connect this shorter one to the servo. And where's some screws? So this is, you have a nut for the top, a countersunk screw for the servo horn, and then this longer one. Yeah. Because right now you're supposed to turn on your radio, make sure the trim is like center before you tighten this servo horn. But for now, I'm just going to tighten it a little bit just to get everything set. Okay, just a little bit. Probably better if I do it from this angle. Smaller one. Right. Maybe on this end. Okay, now you have better access to it. Yeah, let's do that. I'll just plug it in. Sometimes you just want to be lazy, but the thing is, either you do it right or you do it twice. And in this moment, I have to do it twice. And make sure I have the right radio. Getting some batteries. Because I have a labeler, since both radio or the transmitter, they're the same. They look the same, so I don't even know which one is which. So hopefully this one is correct. Okay, that's right. I'm going to center it. So center, and now you do the servo horn from the top. Since this is aluminum, it's not, my magnetic tip is not going to pick it up. So just try to do it top center, right in the middle, and try not to turn it, because the car is on and you're going to strip all those plastic gears inside. Okay, and now you screw it in. Even screwing it is going to make it turn a little bit. So I'm just going to do a couple turns gently. How do I know? Because I messed up before. Like all of this, I'm telling you from my first-hand experience that I messed up. Not on this car, but on other cars, especially when the servo is on and you try to turn it, it's not going to go well for you. So I think with RCs, you always have to have spare parts, or you're going to be waiting for days. Okay, now that's done. So now one end has to be flat and one end has to be vertical. And this is the part where you need to connect the lower half. Connect two of the steering part together. This one you can turn it. So turn it in. But gotta make sure you don't turn it all the way without the locking nut on, because it will bottom out. Since the knuckle is threaded. So if the knuckle is threaded and you turn the screw all the way in, it's not going to work. So you got to make sure you leave some space for the nut first, and then turn the screw. Is this the right nut? Yeah, let's hope it is. And then you turn it. So that way you can turn the nut too. Let's see if I have the other tool. See, now the screw is all the way in, but the nut is not. So you can still use the nut like this. Alright, make sure it's tight. All of these little screws, they come off easily when you're running the car. So now you just move this away. And see, this end is the right side. It's a little more toe out. So what I need to do, I need to turn this out a little more. But I'm just gonna install the servo horn first. Servo horn screw. It's getting hot in here with the 3D printer. It's another day that's 80 degrees. I don't know why San Francisco is getting warm lately. It's usually in the summer, it doesn't get warm until like October, which is pretty crazy. There's a reason they call it a fog city. It's always foggy, even summer. So gently, doesn't look too parallel, especially this end, but we can fix that later. So next, now you got that installed, you can install the body poles, or the shock poles. So you need the shock poles. I'm not gonna turn all the radio off. Let's see how many minutes in. Wow, it's 26 minutes. Let's do a part 2. Alright, front is done. Let's do a part 2.